Hello, crafty friends. My name is Jessica, and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a card using a lot of die cuts, a little bit of stencil masking, and a whole lot of floral goodness and dimension. We should know by now that I am a lover of all things dimension, so please just note that this card is going to be over dimensioned up, but you can always bring it back down. I just enjoy a real thick dimensional beauty. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the first time I'm using this Says Stamp Grip Mat, and it is sticky. I am loving it the way it is grabbing this stencil. I did not have to use any tape to tape it down. It is on there real good. And we're using these nested dome stencils, and I'm just using a die cut from the dies that I cut beforehand just to make sure that I had the right stencil. I'm going to be placing a gold arched border around this ink blending, and so I wanted to be sure that I had the right stencil so that I didn't have any gapping with the colors when I go to adhere that frame later. So the stenciled nested domes pair with the nested domes that are the wafer dies with Simon Says Stamp. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with a real simple ink blend. I'm using this lovely trio here, and I'm just making sure that I'm taking my time really building up that color. I love these inks. They are some of my favorites. So if you are unfamiliar with them, I do have a whole series where I dive into each and every trio and use them for color blending and really just explore the properties and how overall they blend beautifully together. So be sure to check that out. This is one of my favorite trios. This line does have only two of what I would call a true blue trio. We've got this lovely, more regal color, and then there's more of a true blue with that. So the blues, in my opinion, the true blues, they're a little light, but I don't know that we need multiple trios of them. This one for sure is my favorite with that lovely night color going into that soft sky color. So I kind of had a vision of the Beauty and the Beast rose where it's kind of in that cloche. And so I went up on the sides with a darker color to kind of give it a 3D kind of effect, like maybe we were looking into that cloche. And so by doing that, by bringing that dark color up, we're just giving it a little bit more of a 3D kind of curved look to it. So that's kind of what I was going for, and that's why we've got a little bit of that blue coming up higher on that cloche there. So here's that dome that I talked about, or the framing. I went ahead and cut it out of two white thicker cardstocks and then the gold. My die cut kind of gave some little bit of ripples on my gold cardstock. So I just took my bone folder and went over the top to smooth out any kind of imperfections that were created by the die. This is really handy, especially for these thinner dies right here, to help make the die cut look more smooth when you get those little ripples. Bear with me as I'm on the tail end of a cold, so I'm having a hard time with my words this morning and trying to make sure that I articulate appropriately. Uh, Colds are no fun. 'Tis the season, typical back to school, about 3 weeks in, it seems to take out the whole household, and I'm the last one to get it. So I do apologize. We're just going to go ahead and glue these together. I wanted a little bit of dimension, but I didn't want to use foam tape because I wanted to make sure that it was really sturdy. So that's why I did cut out the white layers out of thicker cardstock and then adhering that gold one on top. So now we're going to go ahead and get back into the ink blending. There are a couple different ways to ink blend, and I chose to use white cardstock. This is my favorite ink blending paper. This is Simon Says Stamp 130 pounds. So I went ahead and cut out all of the die cuts that I was looking to put ink onto today. But you can also use colored cardstock. If you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of ink colors and you needed to create a little bit more dimension, adding color cardstock to your ink blending can help achieve additional colors when maybe your inks aren't getting the color that you would like. So that's my first tip, but I'm gonna go ahead and I wanted to do full ink blending, so I'm doing it on these white die cuts, and again, using my favorite white cardstock. But I'm not gonna be super particular about coloring, except for when it comes to that different leaf shape here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go in really fast. I'm sorry I'm off camera here, but we're gonna lay down this initial color. Now, cabbage, artichoke, and kale are my go-to colors for greenery lately. They are a really beautiful trio for these leaves and just leaves in general. They are my one that I reach for constantly. So I went ahead and we laid that cabbage down all over, not being super particular because I knew I was going to go back in with these additional colors. Now I'm going in with artichoke, but I'm focusing more on this more traditional leaf kind of cluster. I'm leaving out the ones that are a little bit more rounded, and there's a reason for that. We're going to make those a different color. But for now, I'm just layering in colors to create a little bit of depth. And look at how fun this is. We went from a white die cut to something that almost looks like it was colored beforehand. I love, love, love ink blending. It is so much fun, and you can create such great dimension with it. So we're just finishing up here. I'm using all my different sizes of Simon Says Stamp brushes just to make sure that I'm trying to avoid those rounded leaves because I am going to be making those a different color. So I'm trying not to get them super dark because we're going to go in with this more turquoise kind of color combo. And so for that, I needed to create a mask. And so I have these full stick Post-its. They're very hard to find. At least I'm having a hard time finding them. And we're going to create just a little notch, and that just allows to create just a little bit of a mask to ensure that I'm not getting that color on the other leaves. So I'm just going in with ocean and then adding a little bit of raindrop here to create that initial dimension. Now bear with me, my daughter is in here playing next to my recording table. I have a shared craft space and she enjoys crafting. So she's on the other side of the table crafting, but she got a little bored and wanted to participate a little bit. So look at how beautiful that is. We've created that mask. I'm able to use different colors to create some really lovely dimension and playfulness. It's, the same die, but it doesn't look like it by adding these two different colors. If you are new to the Simon Says Stamp inks, they are inks. They're dye based, they're water reactive, they're super fun for techniques, but also they do dry back. So while some of these do look a little dark, they're going to smooth out and the blending is going to look a lot better here after they've dried. So now I'm just laying them on my initial card here, trying to just determine what I'm envisioning, seeing if I'm liking it. Is it too much? Is it not enough? Do we need more? Yes, always, usually is the answer, but not in this case. We're going to go ahead and move on to the rest of the ink blending. So because this mat is so sticky, these are typically what I like to ink blend on. I have the waffle flower version, but I thought I would use the Simon Says Stamp one. This is a set that they sent to me, or not a set, but the mat they sent to me earlier in a designer box. I am a designer for Simon Says Stamp, and so I've had no opportunities to play with it, and so this is my first time, and I'm enjoying it. It reminds me very much of the waffle flower one, except for the gridding on the background. That could be really helpful if you're wanting to line up, an A2 sized card or different sizes. The black backing that I took off of this helps show it a little bit better, but there are different sizes for card panels that you could lay down on this and use those grids and on the back to line up appropriately. I'm also using Squeaky Clean from Brutus Monroe to clean it. This is my go-to stamp cleaner, and I've really enjoyed it. I've been using it exclusively for my waffle flower grip mat and just all over cleaning of my stamps and my workspace. So this is a layering die, and I'm just trying to figure out which two of the bigger ones go together. I'm having a hard time, like I said, tail end of a cold, trying to figure out which two match and which two don't so that I can make sure that I color them differently versus not. So I figured it out finally. It was a little bit of a struggle. And I'm going to color some of them just with a little bit of a darker center here in a minute. Now, I really struggled with what colors to make the florals. Originally, I, of course, reached for orange, but I knew I had recently made a card here within the last couple weeks where I did a lot of blue and a lot of orange. And so I was like, what about yellow? And then I was like, nah, yellow screams a little bit too much spring, and we are heading into fall. So I decided to do, you know what? white would look really good with just a little bit of a gray tone to the inside. So I'm just grabbing the trio of grays here and just layering them appropriately. We're going for a lighter color in the petals, and then moving into a little bit darker for the center. And then this top centerpiece, I went full on with that charcoal. So we've got a nice mid-range of the grays, and then we're going to go ahead and line them up. So the typical die, I ran it through twice. So we do have two sets of everything. So typically you get one of each of the larger petals and then one smaller one. But I went ahead and combined them. I wanted that rules of three. So I did two big ones and then combined the little petals together to make a layered floral as well. So rules of three are something to use in design. It makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Studies have shown that rules of three is a thing. I can't think of it exactly right now, but that's what I was going for. Rules of three. But we're going to go ahead and only use two stems. We've got a lot of greenery going on, and I knew that I could layer them as such to make it look like there were two of them sharing a stem. So I'm not too worried about that. We've got, like I said, a lot of greenery going on. So I didn't want to overwhelm the bottom, but I do not know when to quit. So this might be a little much for some. I really love these corner dies with these greeneries and these leaves. They're so fun and playful, and I love that there's a mirror of each other. We need more of these. They're super fun to play with. But I'm going to go ahead and we're going to adhere that frame down, and then pressure, of course, pressure plates. I've tried cleaning these blocks. If you have a great solution for cleaning these, leave it down below in the comments. I cannot clean these blocks. I've tried multiple times of letting them soak in dish soap and scrubbing them with a soft, bristle brush or a sponge, and I just cannot get the adhesive off. So if you have a trick, let me know below. We're going to go ahead and build up our card panel here. We're going to use some liquid glue. Like I said, this is a thicker cardstock. This is Says Stamp 130 pound. It's the one I use exclusively for ink blending. So it is a little bit of a different color than the card bases that I use. So I decided not to trim down and leave a border. We're going to go ahead and just do a full panel. And because it is a thicker cardstock, I do find that I can use liquid glue on it and I don't get warping. A lot of times when I've used thinner cardstocks with liquid glue, you get that rippling, and I do not enjoy that. But this one's thick enough that you don't notice it. So we're just building now. I'm a fiddler, a fiddling queen. If you're new here, you will get to know that if you decide to join my channel. But if you're not new, you know I am a fiddler. I take a lot of time just making sure that the greenery or whatever I'm fiddling with looks pleasing to my eye. Sometimes it's faster than not, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And this is one of those times where it's taking just a little bit longer. But I really am a crafter based on what looks good to me and what is appealing. I'm not a individual who knows exactly what I'm going into when I'm creating cards. So a lot of my videos, you're coming along the process with me and we're learning the card building together. It's not very rarely can I go into a card and be like, this is my vision and put it out and it's exactly what I want. There's always some kind of pivot. You'll see I don't end up using one of the sentiments and one of the dies in this video that I originally showed. It's just a matter of these are the products that I really like to use and let's see what we can do with them. So if you like that kind of crafting, be sure to subscribe. I'd love to have you. We definitely are a work in progress during all of our videos, and it's kind of fun sometimes to see how I pivot and move forward. So this is the part of the video where you might want to not use as much dimension. I love dimension, so I'm using the thickest or the ones that have the most loft from Says Stamp. And I am adding liquid glue and dimension to get the desired effect of the florals today. I'm really wanting them to pop up away from those background greenery to create a little bit of dimension. And with that, there's a lot going on here. So just know you could definitely make this card flat or at least flatter where you're gluing everything down with liquid glue. You don't use the extra die cuts on the gold frame and it would still be a very beautiful card. I just love, love, love to use a lot of extra zhuzh, I guess. So we're just adding all the little greenery here. The pieces that I cut off, I'm making sure that I'm using it all up. This felt like there was a little bit of a gap here. So I'm using these little leaves I cut off originally and just adding them and kind of having that similar mirror effect like we have with the green leaves below. Now, I really wanted to use this dragonfly, but I wasn't sure. There's a lot going on in this card. I'm kind of covering up a lot of that blue background. And so I originally thought I was going to add it up to the top. And I just think I'm going to not. And we end up not doing it. But I wanted to leave this in here just to show, because like I said, this channel is all about pivoting, and just being real down to earth about I do not go into cards knowing exactly what I want. It's definitely a work in progress. And so I wanted to show that. Plus, this is a really fun die. I struggle with it a little bit. This is the first time I'm using it. But I noticed that I had a hard time gluing it. But look at how beautiful it is. It's so dainty and just a lot of fun. And while I struggled trying to get it to glue together, I have this for later for a different card. So perhaps you'll see it in the future. Well, I know you will because it's really fun. But we went ahead and we're just going to try to let that dry, and then we're going to see what it ends up looking like. So I pivoted away from the Hello die that I might have shown in the beginning, I can't remember now, and decided to go with this one that I had pre-made. This is a really fun set. I love all the sentiments in it, and it's just something that I already had created. So here we are, we're looking at that dragonfly, and that was me going, yeah, I'm not liking how much space it's taking. So I decided to scrap it. And we're just going to go ahead and put it away. We'll put it in the die packet and we'll just use it moving forward. Oh, here it is. So this is the other sentiment I was thinking about. And so I've got both of them here and I'm trying to decide which one am I going to end up using. This is definitely the fiddling part of the video, just waiting to decide which one feels more appealing to me. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to let you know that all of the supplies that I do end up using on this card are linked below in the description box, so be sure to expand that. Also note that they are affiliate links, and what that means that is if you click on a link and shop with me, I do receive a small commission at no cost to you. This is just an opportunity to let me know that you like the content that I'm creating and to offer just a small little appreciation by doing so. So we're going to go ahead and finish this card off with some clear jewels. I'm using these ones from Rainbow Splash. I forgot about these and just found them in my supply and I'm loving them. I need to get some more because the clear are definitely my favorite. But I do love that there are 3 different versions of essentially a clear jewel. We've got the ones that's got a little bit of a rainbow hue on them. And then of course those matte finish ones as well. But I'll tell you right now, I don't know why I used my tweezers for this. I definitely should have been using my picking tool, but I, again, end of head cold, trying to power through this to get it taken care of, and just I should have pivoted. I was having a real hard time holding on to these and decided to just not pivot. I just went forward. And that's the card for today. Thanks for joining me. Let me know what you think about the card in the comments below, and just want to let you know to have a great day.